Page 121, Moving Along. Page 120, they give you some things to do with triplets. Have fun with it. The sight reading at the bottom of the page, try that out. If you need to, try sight reading it without the pedal first if it messes you up. Or if you can, yeah, use the pedal too, but otherwise leave the pedal out at first and then put the pedal in. This way you get to hear it both ways. As for moving along, let's talk about this. We got interesting things going on here. The 4 lines, it's 5 lines long. It's the whole page, but it's got endings and repeat signs, and we'll talk about that. 4/4 time, no sharps or flats in the key signature when the key is C major. Go ahead and make sure you do the scale for C major and A minor. If you're into it, you can do the chromatic scale too. Just start on each of those keys. And you go up 1 or 2 octaves, whatever you're doing the scale. You ought to be doing the scale probably 2 octaves by now. And you could do the chromatic scale 2 octaves too then. Let's take this one hand at a time, make sure we got the fingering and all worked out. We're starting here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then reach up. It's a G sharp A. That's supposed to sound like that. It is. And then cross over. So measure 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then cross over, the thumb comes up. I mean, you could have done also, if you got really little hands, that's fine. But otherwise, this is good practice. And it's very common too, because it keeps your hand out here. You're not coming up in here. Measure 8 is the first ending. You're here and then lift up here. And I want to connect this. And I'm going to use the thumb for the others. Lift up on the thumb, keep that down, and then lift up again. You could use 2 there if you wanted to. If you want to. And there's no repeat sign, so we're going to keep going. Just go to measure 10. And now your second finger, slide off if you want, or lift up. And it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See G natural? Because you just had a G sharp. So yeah. And then cross over. Reach up with little finger. So 1 and 2 and 3. Measure 12. Third finger. Reach up with little finger. Here. And then 3, 1. And you'd repeat that back to measure 10. The reverse repeat sign. At the bottom, the last measure there. Here. This is similar to what we had on measure 8. I want to connect this. I'm going to use the thumb for the others. Although you can use 2 and 3 there if you want. And then you go back to the beginning and you just lift up here. Okay. Left hand's broken chords. 4 chord, 1 chord, 5/7 chord. This is a stretch for you. This is measure 4. Here to here. You can use thumb for both of those. For that one. So if that's easier for you, that's fine. Third line down, it's measure 9. It's the second ending. You're here, here, and then here. That's good. And then going on measure 10, it's 4 chord. You got all that. Put the hands together. Here. The idea. Measure 10 down, third line, fourth line down, isn't it? Make sure the left hand's only 1 beat long. On the third line down, you have the 2 endings. The first ending isn't bad, you're just here. And that's fine. The second ending, you got triplets. 1 and a 2 and a 3. 1 and a 2. Here. Once you can do that and you get rid of the hesitations, then we'll add in the articulation. The left hand, there's a note there, left hand detached. So you just, not short, just detached. Bounce along. This, lift up, lift up, lift up. So following the phrase phrasing in the right hand, and just the left hand is just bouncing along. So you're doing two different things here. So it's a now measure 4. That's fine. Measure 10, there's a note above it saying RH legato, meaning right hand legato, which means just connect the right hand. They didn't put slurs over, they could have put a big slur over it, but this works too. So I'm going to connect it all together until the second ending. Now you can lift up. And then you go back to wherever you're going back to. Dynamic, well, this applies to the right hand because that's the melody of whatever you think moderately soft is. Mezzo piano. Left has to be very soft. And you're staying in that area. You can get a little louder and softer as you feel it, but you're in that area. And then on measure 8, the first ending, you're going to get soft, a little louder, a little louder. And that way in measure 10, you're ready at moderately loud. So you're going from soft to moderately loud. There. So you just crescendo up to it. The left hand is still soft. At the bottom. Second. And then there's retardando. And you can, in my opinion, get a little softer. Because the DC al fine sends you back to the beginning. DC means go to the beginning. So you're going back and you're moderately soft there. So you can kind of blend into it. Al fine, the fine is at the end of the third line. It's the second ending there. So you end it there. So the road map for this whole thing is you're going to play the first 2 lines and the third line, the first 2 measures, the first ending. And then you skip the second ending. There's no repeat sign at the end of the first ending. So you keep going. Skip the second ending, you go directly to measure 10. They have a note there in the first ending, 2-nick strain. They don't need that. You automatically know if there's no repeat sign, you go on. But you skip any other endings that are there and go on after them. Well, that's measure 10. Well, there's endings at the bottom, so you're going to do basically the last 2 lines twice. And then the DC al fine sends you back to the top to do that all again, and then when you get to the third line, you take the second ending. So the piece is basically twice as long or more than it looks. Speed, well, moderately's in the middle, but we can play this in a swing style. Dave, there's a note at the bottom if we want. You don't have to. You can play it even if you want. That's fine. It's all in interpretation. But a swing style is we swing the counting. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and, it's 1 and 2 and 3, and we play it that way. And 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you want, play it that way. Swing it. I think that I like it that way, so I will do that. So as far as your speed goes, you just stay in the middle. So these short notes, bum, bum, bum. These short notes aren't too short. You don't want them bum, 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 bum. That's too short. In the second ending there, third line, there's a decrescendo to go down to, you just kind of die away a little bit. All right, and then it's a staccato on the last note. Okay, whichever. feel that. Get into that music and feel this articulation and the dynamics. I like to play this with you slowly. Not going to do any dynamics. I can't slow down. The fermata at the bottom, I'm going to hold 2 counts instead of 1 because I need to stay with the metronome, because we're going to do all the endings and everything. So I'll give us 4 counts. So let's just do this slowly together. And I am going to swing the 8th notes, so I'm going to play them long and short. 1 and 2 and ready and go and. Measure 10. Repeat. Second ending. To the top. Second ending. Rest.